And Brazil is awaiting the experts' report on two bodies found in the Amazon that could correspond to Don Phillips, the collaborator of the British media The Guardian, and Bruno Pereira, a Brazilian indigenous, both missing for a week. Our correspondent in Sao Paulo, Ignacio Lemus, with the details.
Last June the 5th, British journalist Don Phillips and indigenous activist Bruno Pereira disappeared in the Vale do Javari, a reserve in the Brazilian Amazon, near the border with Colombia and Peru. Both were interviewing indigenous communities affected by the invasion of extractive industries.
The government of Mr. Jair Bolsonaro is directly responsible for this situation of increased violence against the indigenous peoples of Brazil, for acting as a government by encouraging those sectors that cause deforestation, illegal mining, exploitation of water resources, and the eviction of indigenous peoples from these territories for the advancement of agribusinesses, mainly in the Brazilian Amazon.
The indigenous communities of Vale do Javari are asking for justice. Bruno Pereira was threatened for collaborating in the defense of indigenous territories abandoned by the Brazilian government. The former official of the government entity for indigenous protection, FUNAI, was exonerated by the Ministry of Justice of the Bolsonaro government in 2019. During the administration of the then Minister Sergio Moro, former judge in the Lava Jato case. The reason? Bruno Pereira denounced illegal miners in an operation that ended with the destruction of 60 rafts of invaders. In other words, he was expelled for doing his job well, and although he had served for 23 years, the Brazilian president considered him to be improvised.
Only two people on a boat in a region like that, completely wild, is an adventure that is not recommended.
In 2019, Don Phillips had questioned Bolsonaro's anti-environmental policies.
New deforestation numbers show a scary increase. IBAMA is finding less and carrying out fewer operations. The signals that the government is giving to Europe this week are not positive in the sense of environmental protection. For example, the Minister of Environment was in Rondônia this week, together with deforesters. How the President intends to convince and show the world that the government is really concerned about the preservation of the Amazon. First, you have to understand that the Amazon belongs to Brazil, not to you. I repeat here, we preserve more than the whole world. No country in the world has the morals to talk about the Amazon.
The Supreme Court determined that the government should take all possible measures to find the journalist and the indigenous man and gave a period of 5 days for the actions to be detailed. Bolsonaro stated that dozens of people disappear every day and that the Supreme Court does not care about it. The disappearance had global repercussions. The United Nations qualified the searches as extremely slow.
We stress our concerns as to the wider context of constant attacks and harassment faced by human rights defenders, environmentalists, and journalists in Brazil.
Don Phillips' wife confirmed to the press on Monday that the embassy had confirmed that the two bodies found in Vale do Javari were those of the journalist and the indigenous man. But the federal police and the indigenous teams in the region denied the discovery. According to a report to the NGO Global Witness published in 2021, Brazil is the 4th country in murders of environmental defenders.
Ignacio Lemus y Julian Asif para TeleSUR.